this very beautiful institute to talk to all these bright young people on a subject which is very close to my heart. I'll go straight into the subject. There will be 3 lectures. The first lecture is more of a popular sort, with all the bells and whistles, PowerPoint and videos and so on and so forth. The next 2 lectures will be tomorrow and day after. We'll go much deeper, and that will be without the PowerPoints and videos and stuff. Okay. Let me go straight into the subject. I have selected a single insight from the Bhagavad Gita, which I want to share with you. Something that will be very useful for you. In the Gita there is something very interesting. I have often wondered why Krishna did not tell the Gita to Duryodhana. If he had told the Gita to Duryodhana and convinced him not to do all those things, evil things, maybe he could have avoided the Mahabharata war. And as a matter of fact, Lord Krishna actually did try to convince Duryodhana. Many of you will be aware of that episode. Once he went to persuade Duryodhana. And you know what Duryodhana said? When Lord Krishna tried to tell him that you should not do all these things and it's adharma, it's unrighteous, it's morally wrong, the way you are treating the Pandavas. Duryodhana's reply was very interesting. He said, don't tell me about dharma and adharma, what is right and wrong, don't tell me about that, because that is not my problem. I know what is right and what is wrong, but my problem is different. He said, I know what is right, but my problem is I don't feel like doing it. I know what is wrong, but my problem is I can't stop myself from doing it. Janami dharmam nachame pravritti. Janami adharmam nachave nivritti. It's a very interesting insight into human nature. He says, Janami dharmam. I know what is right. What I should do, I know it. You need not tell me. Nachame pravritti. I have no interest in doing it. I don't feel like doing it. Janami adharmam. I know what is wrong, what is bad, what is evil. Nachame nivritti. I can't stop myself from doing it. Why not? Why not? Then he says, Kenapi devena hridistitena yatha niyojito asmi tatha karomi. There is some power inside me. As it is forcing me along, I do that. Whatever it makes me do, I do it. I am helpless. There is a strong tendency in me which makes me do certain things which I know it's wrong, and what I want to do, I know what it's right, I should follow this path, but I can't. I try and I fail. This is my problem. My problem is not right and wrong. I know what is right and wrong. Sometimes young people say, Gyan mat do yaar, I know what is right and wrong. So it's basically that was Duryodhana's reply. Arjuna has the same question in Bhagavad Gita. Very interesting. In the 4th chapter, Arjuna asks Krishna, Atha kena prayuktoyam papam charati purusha anichannapi varshnaya baladiva niyojita. Forced by what does a person do wrong things? Anichannapi, even if he or she does not want to do it. He wants to lead his life in this way, but he slips, makes mistakes. Later on he regrets that. Anichan, he does not want to go on that path. But baladiva niyojita, he is forced somehow. Somehow he does these wrong things. And it automatically echoes with us. We have these experiences on a larger scale or smaller scale, but we all have these experiences that we want to do certain things, lead our life in a certain way. You're all students. Who has not got this experience? You make a very ambitious routine, 12 hours a day, I'll put in 12 hours studying. And then somehow the whole day is gone and you find, okay, I'll do that tomorrow. Today I didn't do it. And we, as students, we have all experienced this. You want to lead your life in a particular way, you can't. You don't. Why not? Arjuna asks this. And the difference between Duryodhana and Arjuna lies in this precisely. Duryodhana did not ask a question. He put it as a matter of fact. I can't help it. This is my life. This is the way I am. I can't help it. What Arjuna does is, he puts it as a question. He says, what can I do about it? This is what's happening to me. How can I pull myself out of it? So if we are in Arjuna's position, we would like to know how to put our lives right. How can I set a target, how can I achieve that? This is the question. What is Krishna's answer? So this is from Bhagavad Gita, but we'll take a detour, a sort of bypass. Instead of going straight to Krishna's answer, now I will take you to the 1960s, a very well-known psychologist, Walter Mischel. He had this experiment with little children on this very subject. The experiment was like this. He took little 4-year-old children, boys and girls, and what he said was to the children that here is a marshmallow, a kind of mithai, an American sweet. You want a marshmallow? And the kid says, yes, I want a marshmallow. Do you want 2 marshmallows? Yes, I want 2 marshmallows. I said, all right, you can eat this marshmallow, but I'm going to go out of this room for a few minutes. I'll come back a little later. If you wait for me, if you don't eat the marshmallow, I'll come back and give you 1 more, so you can have 2. You can eat it now. If you eat, it's all right, you'll get only 1. But if you don't eat, you wait for some time, not determine how much time, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I will come back, then you can eat it. And it's kept in front of the child, and the psychologist goes out of the room. And unknown to the child, this was video recorded. And you will see some of those recordings. It's very interesting, and very funny also, very cute. I got it from YouTube. And the interesting thing is, some children, all of them said, we will wait for 2 marshmallows. All of them said, we want 2. And some of them did wait. Some of them did not. They said, we will wait, but they could not wait. And they saw that sweet in front, and just remember, they're 4-year-old. So for a 4-year-old kid to wait for 10 minutes also is a torture. When will sir come back, and then I can have 2? And some of them succumbed to the temptation and ate the marshmallow. Now what the psychologist did, Walter Mischel, what he did is, he divided the 2 groups on pen and paper. He did not tell the children anything. 14 years later, he went back to those children, and he found amazing differences between the 2 groups. He went and interviewed their parents, their classmates, their teachers, and he found those children who were able to control themselves, they said we will wait, and they did wait. They, on the average, they did better in academics, in co-curricular activities, in sports. They were regarded as more confident, self-controlled. And the other group, significantly lower scores in SAT scores and all that. Now, it's amazing, just a small thing, little bit of self-restraint. I want to do this and I do it. And the other person says, I want to do this, but I can't do it. Just this difference. We'll just see those videos and then I'll proceed. This is again from YouTube. Walter Mischel's experiment was repeated by Philip Zimbardo. Those who study psychology, he's a very well-known psychologist. His book, Psychology and Life, is a standard text all over the world. So this is a talk given by Zimbardo upon this experiment. He gave the talk in Google, and they have put up the video on YouTube. You can see that.
So it's a study done at Stanford by Walter Mischel with 4-year-olds. You can see here. Sit right up. Okay. Now, I'm going to play a game with you.
See, the first part is nothing to do with the experiment, because they're little children, you have to distract them. Otherwise, they'll keep thinking, what answer does sir want? So they'll play a little game and say, now I'll give you a prize. So the child is distracted.
And I would like you to point to which one is the correct answer. Which one is happy most of the time, the shy one or the not shy one? Not shy one, correct. Which one has a brown nose? The shy puppet or the not shy puppet?
The not shy puppet.
Point there. Thank you. I'll stop that. Which one is happy most of the time? The shy one or the not shy one?
Probably that one.
Thank you. That's wonderful. I want to give you a prize for having done so well. Do you like marshmallows? You do? Well, here's a marshmallow for you. You can eat it now, but if you wait until I come back, you can have 2 of them. So you can eat this now, but I'm going to go outside for a minute. When I come back, you can have 2 marshmallows if you wait.
Okay, I'll wait.
Do you think you could wait? Okay, let's see. I'll be back in a minute. See.
Notice the body language is wonderful.
So I was looking at the door.
Totally looks away the whole time. It's too hot.
He doesn't know it's being recorded actually.
Little distraction.
You waited. You waited for me. Okay, so now you know what's going to happen. You're going to get a double treat. I'm going to give you 2 of these lovely marshmallows. You want to eat them now or save them for later? Okay, go ahead. A little sticky.
I've had marshmallows before.
Some children ate it, others just ate it.
Right, you got it right. So I'm going to give you a prize. I'm going to give you a treat. The treat is a delicious marshmallow. But if you wait, I have to go check my car. When I come back, if you wait, you can have 2 of them. You can have 1 now, or when I come back, you can have 2. Okay? Okay.
Licking her lips. Just temptation, or just capital T. Sorry.
Hello, my dear. You ate the marshmallow. Was it delicious? Do you like marshmallows?
Now, this kid is wonderful.
You don't like marshmallows?
Look at that face.
Do you like chocolate?
Yeah.
This boy is very funny. I asked him, do you like marshmallows? He says, no. Then do you like chocolate? Yes. So luckily he has chocolate. He says, okay, I'll give you 2 chocolates if you wait for me. And he explains it 4 times. Will you wait? He says, yes. But every time he gets up, he's putting a hand forward to take the chocolate. Will you wait for me until I come back? Yes, I'll wait. And 4 times he explains. But still, before the psychologist leaves the room, he has already eaten it. And not only that, when the psychologist comes back, the boy says, I waited, you gave me another one now.
Well,
I love chocolate.
Treat you one is a chocolate, but, if you wait till I come back, you can get 2. You can eat this now. I have to go check my car. And when I come back, if you wait, I'll give you 2 of them.
Okay.
So you can eat it now, but if you wait till I come back, you have 2. Okay? You think you can wait? So I will be back in 2 minutes. So you can eat it now.
What time?
But if you wait, you're going to have 2 of them. Okay, I'll be back.
I'm not out of the door. I love the little skull and crossbones. Like total boy. He's just enjoying it, minding his own business, eating away. Now listen to me.
Good. I waited.
You ate it. You ate the chocolate.
So clearly, he did not understand
Zimbardo.
a very important connection between if-then. He didn't make the causal link that what he heard was, you can eat 1 now. If you wait, you can have 2. So he said, I waited. I didn't leave the room. So he ate 1 now, and now he wanted the other 2. And so what we've been arguing now is kids like that who grow up to be adults who are present-oriented never really learn if-then relations, never really learn causal sequence, never learn about probabilities, and therefore they're on the path to do badly in school. because life is all probabilities, causal relations, if then. So what difference does it make, this little thing? Before the age of 4, no kids can wait, because it does involve development of the various parts of the brain. At 4, about half kids wait and half don't. As you get older, more and more kids are able to delay gratification. Now, the interesting thing is Walter Mischel went back 14 years later, interviewed the kids, got their school records, interviewed the parents, and it turned out there were incredibly enormous differences between kids who gave into the temptation and kids who didn't. What I want to do is play you a little animation we've just made that outlines those changes and does it in a humorous way. So repeats a little bit of that.
You may already be familiar with the famous marshmallow study conducted by my colleague, psychologist Walter Mischel, in which a group of 4-year-olds were given one marshmallow and told they were allowed to eat it immediately. They were told that if they could wait to eat the marshmallow after being left alone with it for a while, then they would be given an extra marshmallow to eat. Most eat the marshmallow as soon as they are left alone with it, but some other children are able to resist temptation. Those children who ate the marshmallow right away are considered to be oriented toward the present, while those who resisted temptation have an orientation toward the future. When the children were interviewed years later as 18-year-olds, there were amazing differences between the children who were able to delay gratification and those children who couldn't resist the immediate temptation. Scored 250 points higher on the SAT, overreacts to frustration, works well under pressure, indecisive, self-reliant and confident, prone to jealousy and envy.
Okay, so that little thing, basically what he is saying is that crucial to success in life is the ability to delay gratification. I want something. For that, I have to make the necessary sacrifices. So maybe I have to wait a little bit before I get my reward. It's a very small thing, but this key insight is very important. And very interestingly, have you heard of the concept of emotional intelligence? There's a new concept, not very new actually. There's a psychologist, Daniel Goleman. He gave this concept of emotional intelligence. In fact, more popularly the term used is EQ versus IQ. IQ is normally mostly analytical, numerical abilities, and most of you will have very high IQ here. Why I'm bringing up this subject is, he said, for success in life, both in career, in academics, and more so when you go to a job, your career, and your family life, and your relationships with others, EQ is more important than IQ. That's what he's trying to say. Now, the very interesting point he makes is his book, Emotional Intelligence. There I found, very interestingly, he refers to this experiment of Walter Mischel, and he makes it one of the core ideas of EQ. Which experiment? This thing about the ability to delay gratification, to control the impulse. And he makes it a core point of EQ. He also says employers, people in different fields, they are looking for people with actually high EQ. And why I'm saying this is, he made a point. He gave a talk in Google also, and I saw the talk, and he made a point which is very relevant in an institute like this. It's an IIT, not any IIT, it's the best IIT probably in the country, and you have this so many brilliant young people with extremely high IQs. Now, the point he makes is, there is no particular correlation between IQ and EQ. There are people with high IQ and high EQ. There are people with extremely high IQs and low EQ. There are people with extremely high EQ but not very high IQ. So it's if you plot it, a scatter diagram, you will get an evenly distributed plot. Now what he says is that in an institute like this, he is giving a talk to Google, so where you select people based on IQ. You have those entrance examinations and all. So generally people who come into this kind of institute, people have sort of cutoff of IQ. You will find people on the higher range in IQ here. So here in this institute, for example, among your classmates, among your teachers, you will find the difference in IQ, the spread in IQ is not much. But the spread in EQ will be quite high because you have not selected for EQ. Therefore, in an environment, in an institute like this, or in a job, in a very good place where you're working in research institute or in a company outside, the difference, the factor which will make a difference to you will be EQ. You follow the logic. And he gave this in a talk in Google that I'll show you a little bit, the relevant portion of that talk.
I'm Peter, collaborative on career.
Recently, who said, you know what we found? You alone is going to help you. Done is to make, because they are catalytic. We had a kind of
this is Daniel Goleman.
Random distribution. Now, if you take this pool and you map it on Google or any other company that places a premium on cognitive abilities, this is the total sample. Well, what you've done is really interesting because you're skimming the top. Okay, whatever, let's say this is IQ 150, whatever. It's very high. What you have now done is to make a very small difference for IQ. There's very little variation in the population at the very top, and a very large difference for emotional intelligence. That means that whatever emotional intelligence contributes to success in an environment like this, it matters more per unit than IQ does. So there's actually a floor effect here for IQ. You wouldn't expect that IQ alone is going to help you be highly effective in this work environment.
You got the point. I mean, there's no need to repeat that. Basically what he has done is, he says in a general population the distribution will be like this. There are differences in IQ, less and more, and there are differences in emotional intelligence, less and more. But when you have a group like this institute, where you have a flow, because you have come through a selection process, you will find what you have done is you have skimmed the top in each. Suppose you have come from different schools and colleges, and only the best in your batch, most of you are the best in your batch because you came through a selection process. Therefore, the difference in IQ will not be much here. It will be about this much. The difference is very little. There's a floor here. But you are not tested for emotional intelligence. So there are people who have got high emotional intelligence, you've got people who have got low emotional intelligence. And therefore, more than a general population, in a population like this will be more important than this. In general, emotional intelligence is more important, but here it is even more so in a population like this. Anyway, it's the same point. It comes back to the same question. I've just shown you the importance of the ability to control oneself. Now the question of Arjuna's question was, how do I control myself? Why does this happen? And how do I have this control? Whether it's Duryodhana or it's Arjuna or it are those 4-year-old kids, they can ask the same question. I wanted to wait for sir, but I could not wait because the marshmallow was in front of me and I wanted to wait. I had made up my mind to wait. I could not wait. Why couldn't I wait? And how can I control myself? These are the questions. Now we go to Sri Krishna's answer and see what he has to say. Chapter 3, 2 verses I'll take up. Basically what he's saying is this. He's saying that there are 2 levels in our activities. One is at the level of our subconscious minds. He calls it Prakriti or Samskaras. So there is a level which is below our level of our consciousness, and here we have tendencies. You can call it Samskaras or Prakriti. Prakriti simply means nature of an individual. What does this consist of? It says it consists of raga, dvesha, liking and disliking. Raga and dvesha. Raga means attachments, likings. I want. Dvesha, I dislike. What do I want? What do I dislike? It depends upon you. Your habits. If you are a believer in rebirth theory, so the idea is that we have accumulated a lot of tendencies throughout our lives. If you don't believe in that also, that's perfectly alright. From childhood onwards, we have developed in a particular way. So we have liking for certain food, certain environment, certain activities, books, games, so whatever, certain people, and we have dislikes. Certain environment, certain food, certain kind of people, we have dislikes. And these differ from person to person. And these are deep rooted. We are not often aware of this. It's below the level of our conscious awareness. This is one stage. The second stage is when we interact with the world, what happens is we have a reaction. It comes from here, and we think something, we say something, and we do certain things. So these are the conscious level, the level of conscious activity. It's already expressed. This is not expressed, unconscious. This is conscious and expressed. At this level, it is too late. Already, I am dieting. I want to watch my weight. I have this delicious pastry in front of me. I like it. I eat it up. And then later I regret it. I had thought I would not eat this, but I have now eaten it. So what happened was, here is a raga, and you see this attractive object X in front of you, and you think, I want it. You order it, give me one, and eat it up. And then you regret it, because you decided not to take this actually. This is what is happening all the time. It happened to Duryodhana, it happened to the little kids, and Arjuna is asking, why does it happen? It happens because of this. From our samskaras directly, this is expressed. And Sri Krishna says this in 3rd chapter, in the shloka number 33. He says, Sadrisham cheshtate swasya prakriter jnanavanapi prakritim yanti bhutani nigraha kim karishyati. Very interesting shloka. He says, Sadrisham cheshtate swasya prakriter jnanavanapi. A person who is a jnani, who has read the Shastras, I want to lead my life in this particular way. I want to meditate, realize God, and I want to have daily meditation, exercise, have a fit body. I want to do my studies in this particular way. Everything is there. Jnanavan. He is aware of what he wants to do, he or she. But, Prakritim Yant, he says, Sadrisham cheshtate swasya, Prakrite jnanavanapi. Prakriti is this one. Sadrisham means according to Prakriti. Even this person who is very alert, he works according to Prakriti. Prakritim yanti bhutani nigraha kim karishyati. Such an interesting comment by Sri Krishna. People act according to their natures. What can self-control do? Nigraha kim karishyati. And the immediate doubt which is raised in all the commentaries is, if self-control is of no use, then what is the point of all this meditation and yoga and all spiritual practices? And they raise this doubt. Then what is the point of all this? What he is saying is, we have this Prakriti and then it is expressed. At this level it is unconscious, you are not aware of it, you cannot do anything. At this level it is already expressed. You may stop it once, very, very difficult to stop. You may stop it once, next time you will fail. You fail twice, maybe succeed once, and you get frustrated. It goes on like this. What is the way out? Sri Krishna says in the 34th verse, he gives the secret. Indriyasya indriyasya arthe ragadvesha vyavasthitau tayorna vashamagachet tau hi asya paripanthinau. 3.34. The secret is here. He says, between these two levels, are we clear about these two levels? One is the subconscious level, samskara, this one, prakriti, and the next one is action, karma. He calls this the uncontrollable level. It's a conscious level. It's conscious but difficult to control, and this is unconscious, but because it's unconscious you can't control it, you're not aware of it. So this is, he says, this is the third level and this is the first level, and he says the secret is, Sri Krishna gives, this is the important point, the whole lecture, this is the most important point. He says the secret is, between these two levels there is another level. There is another level, and he says this raga dvesha, it comes in a conscious level, and this is the second level, this is controllable. What he says is, from here the action goes here, and from here to third level. From the first level, unconscious level, There is a small conscious gap when you become aware of likes and dislikes coming up, boiling up from within. Before it takes on the form of a strong desire, thoughts, or you already say something, a flash of anger comes and you hurl an insult at somebody, later on you are going to regret it for behaving like that. I did not have said that, you feel that. But you already said it. At that level it's very difficult to control. You know, he says, I became so angry, I was burning up from the top of my head to my toes. So that's already at this level, third level. But he says, Krishna says, at this level, there is a gap, there is a conscious gap, a window of opportunity. At that level, you can control it. At that level, you can control it. You can consciously control it. What he is saying is this. Raga dvesha, likes and dislikes, according to our sense organs, indriyasya arthe means the earlier shloka. What it means is, each indriya has its vishaya. Indriya means sense organ. So eyes have, chakshu has its vishaya as form. These are forms. Ears, shabda. Tongue, taste, rasa. Like this, the five indriyas have their vishaya. Indriyasya arthe raga dvesha vyavasthito. Each of them have fixed likes and dislikes, which are in your subconscious mind. There are certain forms I like, certain forms I do not like to see, certain sounds which I like, certain things which I do not like to hear, and so on. Certain things I like to taste, certain things I do not like to taste. All these are our conditioning, and they are expressed in action, in karma. Between these two levels, he says there is a second level at which he says, Krishna says, what you can do is you can exercise conscious control, like a traffic policeman. You know, you have a chauraha here, there is a traffic policeman there. What he does is he controls traffic. Now you have a particular aim in life. So maybe it might be studies, it might be meditation, God realization, whatever. You know very well, just like Duryodhana said, I know what is right and what is wrong. How do you know what is right and wrong? According to your aim of life, there are certain things which are right or certain things which are wrong. If a little child wants 2 marshmallows, the right thing is not to eat the marshmallow until sir comes back. And the wrong thing to do is to eat it up because you will not get the second marshmallow. In the same way, that's a very simplistic thing, but in the same way, it works for all of us. What is right and wrong in life, we know. Now this policeman, this conscious level, what you have to do is, whatever is coming from your subconscious, it will be in the form of think this, say this, do this. You filter it at this level. Certain things which are in accordance with your aim of life, what you want to do or what you want to be, those you allow. Okay, pass. And you are expressing as action. Certain things which are not in accordance with what you want in life, those you disallow. You divert them and you replace them with something good. Because you can't have a vacuum. You must think something, say something and do something. So there is a decision which you have to take. At this level there is a decision which you have to take. It's not all that complicated. My diagrams look very complicated. At this level you have to take a decision. And the thing about the decision is a very interesting thing, I'll tell you. This is a power which we all have actually 24 hours a day. In the Katha Upanishad says, Shreyam and Preya. What is good for me and what is pleasant for me. Shreya and Preya. What is good and what is pleasant. Swamiji used to talk about it often. Shreya and Preya. Preya, pleasant. What I like to do now. And Shreya, what I know is good for me now. If they are same, what I like to do and is good for me, it's very easy for life. Becomes very easy. But often, unfortunately, they are not same. What I would like to do and what is good for me, I know, these two are often different. For example, how many of you, if you could, I'm not asking you whether you do it or not, but if you could, you would like to wake up at 4 o'clock and meditate and exercise and study or whatever, each day in the morning, you would like to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. How many of you would like to do it? If you could do it, how many of you would like to do it? So many? More than 90% of the audience? If I could do it, I would do it. How many of you like sleeping comfortably at 4 o'clock in the morning, especially on a cold winter morning? How many of you like it? Acha lagta hai. The same 90% of the audience who say that I want to get up early in the morning, it would be very nice if I could do it, and I could study, and I could exercise, I could do meditation, whatever, or take an early morning walk. And the same person also says, I like sleeping in the morning. Now what happens is, here is what I want to do, here is what I like doing, and there is a pull. They are pulling in opposite directions. This is the problem. And what Sri Krishna says is, here you have to take a decision. And decision is, suppose A and B. If I ask you to choose, please come. Make a choice in any way, give any sign or symbol. What's anyone? Correct. So this is what we normally do. What's your name? Rithambar. Okay, thank you. Normally that's what we do. We decide something, okay, I'll choose this one, or we do this, or something. But decision actually means you choose this and you cut this out. What it means is, this one only, this is no longer an option. Why? Because whenever we make a choice, I choose this one. So what is good for me, I choose. The moment I choose what is good for me and I sacrifice which is pleasant for me, it's painful. It's painful to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And if it's painful, what happens is, if this is still a viable option, the bed is there, warm and cozy, razai hai, you feel like crawling back into bed. Tomorrow onwards I will follow the routine, not today. That's what happens. And that's because this has not been cut out. It is still available. Very much available. That little sweet marshmallow. Did you notice one boy was looking away like this, or one girl was looking all the time? Why? I will not look at it. It's not available to me. It's not in front of me. This is a decision. That's the correct way to do it. I will not look at it. I will not take it. Whatever happens, I will not take it. So decision. In fact, this one comes from Caesar. You know Caesarean operation? Caesare. To cut. It means to cut. Decision means not to select. It means to cut. To cut what you are not going to do. So you remove it from your life. This will not be there anymore. This will not be there anymore. And this is the only one available. There is no question of going to this one anymore. And that's how you take a decision. So Sri Krishna says, you take a decision. And you select each time you put the Shreya instead of the prayer. Now what happens when you do this? It's not easy. It takes time, and at first you won't be able to do it, because it's a very small gap between unconscious desires and expressed. Usually it happens, after that you regret it. But if you have this knowledge in the background of your mind, you keep thinking about it, very soon you will understand why it is happening in your life. And with this decision making power, if it increases over the time, you begin to control it. And sometimes you'll be surprised to see, at that moment you are able to control it. So the traffic policeman is working. Most of you have done it. Because you are in such an institute, you have made sacrifices in your study life. Whereas your batchmates did not, you did it. So you can do it. It's possible. It's there. And one more thing I'll add to this. It's in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. It says, samskara and vritti. Evam vritti samskara chakram avattamanam. He says, this is the conscious level. Vritti means thought. And samskara means your conditions, impressions, subconscious mind. This is subconscious mind. And Patanjali Yoga Sutra, there is a commentary by Vyasa. There he makes this point. Our thoughts are coming up constantly. Where are they coming from? Our subconscious conditionings. Where do these conditionings come from? From our thoughts. What you think, that goes back as samskara. What is in samskara? That bubbles up as thoughts. Now, by this method, 3 stages, what you are doing is, samskara you cannot change directly. You are not aware of it. Where is it? What is it? We are not aware. But these ones we are aware of. If you consciously keep on replacing these thoughts with positive thoughts, with noble thoughts, with thoughts which are beneficial for you, positive, noble, constructive, slowly these will go back and become samskaras. Over time, you will find good thoughts bubbling up. I read the story of a Buddhist meditation exercise. The Buddhist monk, sitting in meditation, and his teacher told him, here is a bowl and here is a heap of black stones, here is a heap of white stones. And every time you sit for meditation 1 hour or 2 hours, and every time a negative thought, anger, jealousy, passion, something comes up in your mind, you take a black stone and put it in that bowl. Every time a good thought, Maitri, Karuna, peace, happiness, it comes in your mind, take a white stone and put it in the bowl. In the first few months, every day you would sit for meditation, and it will be mostly after 1 hour of meditation, the only black thought, the black stones would be there in the bowl, 1 or 2 white stones. Over the months, he saw that balance is changing. Because he's practicing this, he's replacing at the level of conscious thought, he's replacing. So there's a traffic policeman working here, and he's replacing, he's cutting off the negative thought and replacing with good thoughts. What happens is, over a few months, he found more and more white stones he's putting. In 1 hour meditation, he's putting more white stones and lesser black stones, and after a period of 1 or 2 years, he found mostly white stones and no black stones, or very few black stones. Now, this is what happens. The subconscious gets purified. Then the job becomes easier. Then you don't have to struggle so much. The thoughts which come are automatically mostly Shreya, good for your life. I remember one thing which I put here. I made a table. I've told the story a number of times. The first time I put it in the table. I'll tell you the story first, then you'll make sense. I was in Gangotri few years back. After taking sannyasa, I thought, Ramakrishna mission monks, we have got schools and colleges and ashrams and hospitals. So day and night we are working. We do a lot of work. Most of the people think, the monks, you have it easy. Maharaj, aram se rehte hain aap. We do a lot of work, plenty of work. I remember when I first became a monk, a brahmachari, first thing they told me after 3 days after I joined in Deoghar, I was a newcomer, and then the senior monk told me, first I'll tell you in Bengali, অনেক অন্ন ধ্বংস হয়েছে, এবার গিয়ে কিছু কাজ করো, ওই হস্টেলটা আছে 40টা ছেলে আছে গিয়ে দেখো, you have eaten free food for a long time, 3 days, now time to do some work. Here is a hostel with 40 boys, you go and look after them. I thought, if I had in samsara, I had gotten married, I would have got 1 or 2 children. Now 40 children, I have to look after 40 children. And it started like that. So I thought, let me be, after taking sannyas, let me wander like a traditional monk, of the old days. I'll take bhiksha, I'll beg for food, sleep under a tree, whatever comes, kutia. So I went up to Gangotri, 10,000 feet. The higher you go, more spiritual you are. So, that's what they think. Stays higher, and bahut tapasvi mahatma hai. One person is to stay beyond Tapovan, Gangotri, Gomukh, Tapovan. That's 14,000, 15,000 feet. I asked him, what was it like? He said, personally, I'll tell you, it was hell. There's no chance of spiritual practice, because just to survive it is difficult for some months at an end. Anyhow, I was in Gangotri. I used to live in a little kutia, wooden cabin. I don't know how many would like to stay there. It was very beautiful scenery, but no furniture, you have to sleep on the floor. The only thing you have got, razai, this blankets, 3 or 4 on the ground you put it, and 3 or 4 on top of yourself. No bedding, nothing. No electricity, no table, chair, nothing. And there's only one small window. If you open it, it's like having 6 air conditioners blowing at you at once. So you have to close that. And if you close that, it is so dark inside. I used to open my eyes and do this. I couldn't make out whether my eyes were open or closed. I couldn't see anything. And only sometimes you can see the static electricity sparks from the clothes. In winter, and the static electricity is there from woolen clothes. There, a monk, I met a sadhu who was living there for many years. One day he was sitting next to me near the Ganga. Those who have gone there must have seen it's very narrow but very fast, torrential, flows very fast. And that was autumn, around this time, July, August. And he told me, they're telling me the difference between the mind of a Vishayi, worldly person, and a yogi. What is the difference? If you do this practice for a long period of time, what will be the difference? He says, he told me, I'll tell you in Hindi and then translate into English. Mahatma ji, idhar aiye, dekhiye, ye Ganga ji ko dekh rahe hain. He says, you look at this Ganga now, in rainy season. What is there? There's a lot of water. Fast flowing water. very turbulent and dirty because a lot of landslides are there and soil gets deposited, it's brownish. So he says this water is, there's a lot of water and it flows very fast, it's very dangerous. If you put your foot in it, you will be swept away, you'll simply be killed. There's no way of coming out of it anymore. And you cannot drink this water. You cannot give it to anybody to drink, you can't drink it yourself also. And then he told me, in winter, this same Ganga, this is because it's mostly frozen, there's snow up to here, ice, and there's very little water, and the water it flows slowly, and it's crystal clear. He said, if there's a bridge, there are two bridges in fact over that in Gangotri. He said, if you throw up, he said, Chavani phek denge, upar se you can see what denomination of the coin it is, so clear, like glass. He told me, देखो ये विषय का मन जैसा है ना ये गंगा जी, there's so much water and a Vishayi worldly person's mind full of many thoughts, good and bad, many thoughts. Similar, just like so much water is flowing. Second, he says, it's so fast. Just as the Ganga is dangerous in this autumn rainy season, a Vishayi person's mind is dangerous. Anytime, anything it can happen. So many times we regret saying certain things, doing certain things. Why? Because our mind said it and it seemed like the right thing to do at that time, or we could not resist it and we did it. And it can be very dangerous. In IITs itself, once in a while we see in the papers, this boy or girl committed suicide. And I read a story, this very famous American novelist, William Styron. He's written a book, Journey into Darkness. He was a schizophrenic and sometimes suicidal. Because he's a novelist, he could write very well. Memoirs of Madness. Memoirs of Madness. William Styron, Memoirs of Madness. At one time he was going to commit suicide and he's written vividly. He said, absolutely, it felt like I have to commit suicide now. There's no other way. And somehow he was saved. He was put under medication and all that. Later on, he said, I didn't understand why I was going to commit suicide at that time. There's no reason at all. This is the mind. So dangerous. It can sweep you into destruction, addiction, spoil relationships, spoil your career, everything. That same mind. And third point, he said, just like the Ganga is polluted now, lot of mud is there, our thoughts are also polluted. So many kinds of thoughts. This water, he said, इसको खुद नहीं पी सकते, किसी को पिला भी नहीं सकते, जो पानी अभी जा रहा है. And he said, our people's minds are like that. They don't get peace. And those around them also don't get peace from them. Opposite, he said, जाड़े में कभी आएंगे महात्मा जी तब गंगा जी को देखिएगा. When you come in winter, I'll show you Ganga then. He says, very little water. Very few thoughts are there in the mind of a yogi. Not that he's mindless. Very few thoughts. We have got lot of unconnected thoughts flowing through us continuously. Distorted. Habitual thoughts. Those are not there in the mind of a yogi. It is safe. Just like the Ganga, he says you can cross over. It's so little water is there, it's absolutely safe. You can walk across, he says. And the yogi's mind is very safe. It's not harmful to him or to anybody else. And third, he says पानी मीठा है, खुद पी सकते हैं, दूसरों को भी पिला सकते हैं. And he says the mind of a yogi is like that. It's always at peace, serene, and others who come into contact with that person also get that peace. I have seen some of the senior monks of the Ramakrishna order I have met, and outside also, other sadhus, good sadhus. Just to be with them, you feel uplifted. You need not go and discuss something spiritual about with them. You simply be with them, exchange a few words, you feel uplifted. Or simply sit near them. There's something in an atmosphere about them which is so much of serenity and calmness is there. It transforms your mind, at least for some time. But that is due to that person, not our own. There was a very great Swami, and one Swami who used to stay with that Swami, who was a disciple of Ma Sharda. And this person who told me, he said, I used to stay with that Swami and my mind was at such a high plane all the time. And I felt I had achieved something. And that Swami, he was staying in the room, there was some medicine. The spirit is there for swabbing and all, disinfection. So there is a stick with cotton wrapped around it, which is kept in the spirit. And that Swami took out that stick and he said, look, this has the smell of that disinfectant, the spirit. after some time if you keep it aside, it will go away, that smell. It does not belong to the stick. Similarly for you, you are with me. Don't think that you have achieved something spiritually. Day I die, after a few months you will find whatever you were earlier, you are that only. You have to earn it yourself. Anyhow, the point is such people can radiate spirituality. खुद भी पी सकते हैं, दूसरों को भी पिला सकते हैं. You get peace, others also get peace. This is the point. I can go on, there's more to it, but we have almost run out of time. I'll stop here. I'll sum up. I have said only one thing today. And they say that you have heard of the some concept of take-home salary. After all the deductions and all that, I think what you take home, the amount you take home, that's called your take-home salary. So what is your take-home from today's talk? Your take-home from today's talk is, it's a central question of anybody's life. I have certain goals in life, I have to go towards it. How do I get the discipline, the control over my life to go towards it? You understand what sweeps you away from that? The samskaras from inside, which are expressed in thought, speech and action. These sweep me away. At the level of samskara I cannot control and I am not aware. At the level of action, difficult to control, already expressed. Answer, he says, tayor na vashamagachet. Don't come under the sway of your raga dvesha. They are being expressed in thought, word and action. Before that happens, there is a window of opportunity. Be the traffic policeman there. Even if you cannot do it consciously right now, at least reflect on what happened. As you reflect, that conscious window comes in control. In fact, meditation is helpful in that. There was a neuroscientist from Nimhans, Bangalore, who showed that actually he mapped the reactions of those who meditated for a long time, for several years, and he found the reactions are less from the autonomic nervous system, more from the conscious centers. That means they decide what they are going to think, they decide what they are going to say, they decide what they are going to do. Most of our cases we are on autopilot, default setting. Whatever is there, it gets expressed. So that is the point I want to share with you. Whether it's Duryodhana, Arjuna or those little children or us students or Swami Sarvapriyananda or anybody, whatever our aim in life, this is a very interesting and very important thing to understand. This gap, level 2, between level 1 and level 3, there is a level 2 which we must capitalize on. We must gain control over that level. This is the talk for today. We have almost run out of time, nearly 7. If you have got questions, I'll deal with it. Tomorrow and day after, I will go much deeper. No videos, no PowerPoint, because I don't like this, because it interferes. The audience is constantly looking there, sometimes at me. So I'll shut that down. I'll speak to you directly. Tomorrow's topic is purposeful life with Vedanta. What is the aim or purpose of human life? What does Vedanta say? Who am I? We deal with that at the deepest level, a very profound question. And I will show you actual steps. You will travel with me to the level of the body, mind and beyond to the Atman. How we can have a deep, immediate experience, sakshat, what they say. So that we will do tomorrow. And beyond that, on Monday, message of the Upanishads, I have selected Keno Upanishad. That is, as students say, engineers, hardcore. So that is hardcore Vedanta. So that is even more serious. I'll deal with Keno Upanishad. How to spiritualize every moment of life. I say about that topic especially, it's a dangerous topic, because once you go through that, if you just follow me, if you just follow the scripture, what I will tell, it's irreversible. You can't change it anymore. It's already done. Whether you like it or not, you have stepped irreversibly into another way of thinking. You cannot come back anymore. If that sounds ominous, it's not ominous. It's actually very interesting and very life-changing actually. Thank you very much. Thank you. And I'll take a few questions. Anybody? Yeah. Just tell your name and Shutanu. Yes.
For sometimes we control ourselves.
Yes.
And then in a small thing we lose and we feel like we are going back to zero.
Yeah.
Is faith really something, or what is the way out?
Yeah. The question Shutanu asked is very important. We practice something, then we stop. Whatever it is. So is it lost? We feel frustrated after some time. Or is something saved? If you look at this theory, vritti and samskara, what you practice consciously, you think certain things, say certain things and do certain things, that is added. It's never lost. Arjuna in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, he asks this question. Krishna, you're telling me to practice meditation, spiritual practices and all. But suppose I don't get jnana in this life, if I don't get spiritual realization in this life, then have I lost both this worldly life and also spiritual life? I did not get that realization, Atma Jnana, Nirvana, Moksha, whatever, and I did not enjoy life in this world. I've given up certain things in this world. Have I lost both? Ubhaya vibhrashta. So from both sides I'm lost. And Krishna gives a clear answer. Nahi kaschid kalyanakrita kaschid durgatim tata gacchati. Kalyanakrit, the person who walks on the path of spirituality, spiritual welfare, he never goes to destruction. So this is always added up. If you practice something, let it go, fine. It is there. Next time you practice, whatever you practiced earlier comes to your aid. So you get up at 5 o'clock and hold on to it for at least 21 days. What it does is, it becomes a habit. So habit has its own inertia. Then it becomes easier to wake up after that, at 5 o'clock or 5:30 in the morning. If you do for 2-3 days and abandon it, it remains equally difficult. It's like, if you want to jump across a ditch, you have to take one big jump. You can't take few small jumps, because you fall in the ditch if you try to do that. So, you want to make a new habit, you have to push for 21 days. 21 days is just a figure, 1 month. So both ways, what you do, it is saved, but it's better to do it hold on to it and do it for some time. Yeah. Questions? Anybody? Yeah. What's your name?
My name is Anurag.
Anurag.
You were telling us that the things which are right or wrong or good or bad depends on what the person wants to achieve.
Yeah.
Should there not be a thing about morality in all this?
Yeah.
Because a person might want to achieve something bad,
Yeah.
and his good might be bad for others.
Yeah.
So
they say morality. In fact, in yoga, these are the 5 things they say. Ahimsa, Satya, Satyam, and Brahmacharya, Asteya, Aparigraha. These are the 5 main vows which we as monks also take, and those who want to be yogis, they should practice to some degree. They must practice all of this. Non-violence, not hurting others in thought, speech and action. You know the vow in medicine, those who become doctors, first, do no harm. This is the vow. The oath they take is first, do no harm. Especially important for doctors. Whatever treatment they do, first they must say, at least we don't make things worse. Similar, ahimsa is this. Whatever you can do for others, or you cannot do, that's later on, but at least don't harm others. And so this is ahimsa. Truth in thought, word and deed. And then brahmacharya, self-control. Self-control in all aspects of sense enjoyments. It's different for a householder and for a sannyasi. Of course the levels are different, but everybody is expected to have certain amount of self-control. Asteya, non-stealing, never taking what was not due to you. That goes at all levels, from not taking money, stealing money from others, or breaking copyright, software piracy or whatever. It's across the board. Levels of non-stealing. And aparigraha, not taking gifts. Very interesting. If you want to practice yoga, you should be independent. Don't go out for handouts. Don't take things because it's just available for free. It seems it has an effect on the mind. I'm reminded of a story. A very senior monk, the one monk about whom I told you about that stick in the disinfectant. Swami Vivekananda ji is a disciple. He was a disciple of Holy Mother Ma Sharda. Somebody, when he was an old monk, somebody bought him a walking stick, wanted to present. And he said, no thank you, I don't need it. He kept on insisting, Maharaj-ji, you please take it. I don't want anything from you. Please take it. I'll be just happy if you just accept it. Then you do whatever you want. He said, no, I don't want it. So I don't want anything in return. Just take it. I'll be very unhappy if you don't accept the gift. Then that Swami said, you don't want anything from me. No, I don't want anything in return from you. He's holding the stick. He says in Bengali, Tavale bhenge di? Let me break it in front of you. And he got a shock. Why did you react like that? You expect something, subconsciously at least, because I'm giving a gift to you. You don't expect me to tear it up in front or break it in front of me. See, so there is something that a person always wants when he or she gives something to you. So a yogi is not supposed to take gifts. Of course, wherein you are in society, you have to be balanced towards it. I mean, you just can't say that you have a birthday party and you say, I will not take any gifts from anybody. You give something back immediately. You give something back. I remember, question. Why I just finish. Why I said these? The question was about morality. These are called sarvabhauma vrata, universal vows. These are not matters of choice. To some extent, to be a decent person, you have to follow all of these at some level. At some level, you have to follow all of these. To be a yogi, you must follow them at a very high level. But to have a decent life, you must follow all of these. Why? Why these are not matters of choice? You call them moral laws, but somebody asked me, students often ask, moral laws, you are calling them laws, but they are not laws like gravity. Satyam, I can tell an untruth, I can tell a lie. How is it a law? How is it a law? I can break the law. Tell the truth, it's a law, but I can tell an untruth. It's not like the law of gravity which you can't break. The answer is very beautiful. He says, you can't break these laws. You can only break yourself against these laws. The more you violate them, the more you are destroying yourself. The effect is on the psyche. It's not physical effect. It's on your character, on your psyche, on your reputation with your colleagues and your family and others. So yes, morality is a fact. It's not a choice. Okay, question.
Just hold on before taking up the next question. So we have a bookstore outside and there are some free books for distribution available. So anyone of you who is reading out, kindly just take it from the bookstore.
Thank you. The Maharaj-ji has come from the ashram. Now the free books is different from aparigraha. You can happily accept the free good books because that is spiritual knowledge. That is spiritual knowledge. Yeah, there's one thing you can give freely and accept freely. That is spiritual knowledge, definitely. Please do avail of the opportunity because Maharaj-ji has come with a lot of difficulty from the ashrama in Kanpur city. Yeah, question. Yeah.
Sir, my question is, as you have told, to filter our mind, to have a less thought in my mind, and the way you say that meditation is the way. So, what is really meditation?
Meditation. It's a huge subject. Tomorrow we'll go through one method of meditation. It's a very sophisticated method of meditation in Jnana Yoga. Meditation, the classic book for meditation is Yoga Sutra, Patanjali Yoga Sutra. And the best explanation and translation is Raja Yoga by Swami Vivekananda. It's one of the first books which attracted me when I came into spiritual life. Before I joined as a monk, and as a student, I used to read this book a lot. I'm sure it's available outside. Patanjali Yoga Sutras, it's a classic text of meditation techniques, and in fact, the vast range of meditation techniques you see in the world today, especially in the Hindu traditions, not so much in the Buddhist traditions, and there are similarities. They are all drawn from the Patanjali Yoga Sutras in some form or the other. And there, to answer your question, what is meditation? In the second sutra, meditation is defined. What is yoga? Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga is control of the cessation of the modification of the mind. Vritti, this one, the thoughts, feelings, emotions, ideas which keep on bubbling up all the time. Cessation of that is meditation. And there are techniques for that. So many techniques are there. Now you'll ask, what is the use of cessation of the vrittis? What's the purpose? What happens when all thoughts cease? Thoughts do cease when you fall asleep. And it happens in classes sometimes. But if you consciously do that, you are conscious and aware, but the thoughts have ceased. Is it possible? It's very much possible, and it's quite easy also. For some time it's quite easy at least. What happens? The idea is in the third sutra it is given. Second sutra, yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga is cessation of the thoughts. Third sutra, tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam. The drashta, the sakshi, remains in its true nature at that time. At what time? When all the thoughts have subsided. Swami Vivekananda says in the commentary, you will read, like a lake which is absolutely without any waves and the water is very clear, you can see the bottom of the lake. When it's in waves and it breaks out into waves or the water is muddy, you can't see the bottom of the lake. Similarly, in a mind, the lake of the mind, when it's absolutely calm and clear, you can see who you are. See means in the sense you can experience it, immediate, a kind of immediate experience. That is the purpose of meditation. And for this many techniques are there. If there are thoughts, what happens? The fourth sutra says, vritti sarupyam itaratra. When there are thoughts in the mind, you become identified with the thoughts. I am so and so. I am happy. I am sad. I understand what this guy is saying. I don't understand what this guy is saying. I like this. I don't like this. I want this. I don't want this. These are all thoughts and you become identified with that. I am this. But the pure I, without all this, just I am, that can be experienced when the mind is without thoughts. That is the purpose. And that is the what is called Atma Jnana or Swarupa Jnana. Tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam. Drashta means the sakshi, the witness. Witness stays in its own nature. This is the essential idea of meditation. All kinds of meditation. Nowadays meditation is used for relaxation. You can use it. Yeah. Hypertension control, stress management. I do seminars on stress management. I use meditation also. Within 20-25 minutes you will have so much level of relaxation which you have never experienced in your life. Wonderful. But that is not the original purpose of meditation. In these books especially, Patanjali Yoga Sutra, nowhere it is said for stress management do meditation. Maharshi Mahesh Yogi, who popularized transcendental meditation in the West, once he was asked, this is not the purpose of meditation. Why are you teaching this? To remain calm, to control hypertension, to manage stress, to remain young and good looking and healthy. All these are effects. Does this really happen? He says, yes, it happens. But these are not the purpose of meditation. Where is it said these are the purposes of meditation? Why are you teaching this? So he gave a very interesting answer. He said about Americans. He had gone to the West. He said, I give them what they want so that they will want what I want to give them. I give them what they want. They want calmness. They want rest. They want relaxation. They want stress management. They want to live long and young. Okay, it is possible. I will give you all that. As they practice that and get the benefits, they become more and more curious about the real purpose of this yoga, which I want to give them. Then they want what I want to give them. So I like that response. But then you should progress to that level. You should not get satisfied with just the superficial advantages which you get. Take one more question. Yeah.
I want to ask that brahmacharya does only mean that we do not have to marry anyone or...
No. As I said, brahmacharya means self-control. Control of sensuous, of your senses, of sense pleasures. So this is a whole range. It depends upon what you are. If you are right now a student, so there is a moral code of conduct for you. If you are a married person, so you have relations with your husband, wife, and it's limited to that. That is what, in fact, what is normally considered to be decent or moral in society, that is actually based on brahmacharya. Any religion, it's not just yoga or Hinduism, in Buddhism, in Islam, and in Christianity, everywhere you have a code of conduct. Basically what that code of conduct always does, that morality always does, it puts a limit. It always is in the form of a limit. Thou shalt not do this. You shall not exceed this limit. It's always a control. That is brahmacharya. It applies to all kinds of sensual enjoyment. It may be eating a rasgulla to any kind of sensual enjoyment. Code of conduct for a monk, again, is more strict, like that. Yeah. Any more? No more questions? Yes, please.
Is it like subconscious mind?
Yes.
And your chitta are same or different? Because there is a lot of debate is there, it's not same.
One, chitta has two meanings. It means the mind. It also means actually the subconscious mind, the storehouse. Subconscious mind is a recent term, maybe in the 19th, 20th century it has come up, especially Freudian psychology. So chitta corresponds to the subconscious mind. Chitta also corresponds to the mind in general. I mean, it's used in both senses.
People say sense mind, sensual mind.
Yes.
And then chitta, they are different. Of course, in English, it is a little different.
For example, in two ways I'll give you. In Vedantasara, if you see, mind has got four aspects: chitta, ahamkara, buddhi, and manas. Manas is the sensual mind. Buddhi is the intellect, the vijnana. Ahankara is the ego function. You feel right now, I, that is ahankara. Chitta is the storehouse of impressions, vasanas. So that's the fourfold division of mind in Vedantasara. In Patanjali Yoga Sutra, when you come, yoga's chitta vritti nirodha. There it is not the subconscious mind. There it is the conscious mind. Vritti means the conscious thoughts. Cessation of the conscious thoughts. So depending on the context, chitta can have different meanings. In Sanskrit, this is a difficulty. You have to be careful what sense the word is being used. The same word has got different meanings. Atma. You say Atma normally means some kind of spiritual self. Atma also means body. In Sanskrit, Atma just means I. If you feel I am the body, then Atma means body. I remember, I'll conclude with this story. I remember I was in the Himalayas, I was begging for, the traditional sadhus, they go for bhiksha. They can go to a village and beg for food. You don't do that. I have the right because I wear this. You are supposed to give me bhiksha if I ask for food. But you should not beg. See, it depends on what you are in society. For me, it is the way of life. I mean, I can ask for it. It will be dharma. But for a person who can earn and who is in society, if he or she goes and begs, it is against dharma. So it depends on the context. Now, if I start earning money and then I have a bank balance and start buying my food like that, then it is against dharma, my dharma, for example. Anyway, the point is, I stay in an ashram, so food is cooked in an ashram and we eat in the ashram. So this traditional way of going to a house and begging is really, I'm not very used to it. So the first time I went to somebody's house, so not the first time, one of the beginning. This is in a place called Harshil, about 20 kilometers below Gangotri. There's a mountain, I climbed up that, and there's a village. They stay in summer, they stay in that village, and in winter they go a little down. They do that terrace farming kind of thing. So I went to this village. Village means 3 or 4 houses. This farmer was sitting there, and I went there, and I was too tongue-tied to. We have this way of sadhus have a way of asking for bhiksha. They'll say Om Namo Narayana, like that they'll say. So I just stood there, and the farmer understood. He said, Mahatma ji, bhojan hua hai? I said, nahi hua hai. Khaoge ya leke jaoge? Khayenge. He said, andar aa jao. And he took me inside, made me sit. Then he served me food. Now, as you can see, I'm a very great eater. So he saw the quantity I was eating. I set aside the rest of the food. And he said, महात्मा जी आप तो पंछी जैसा खाते हैं, पहले आत्मा उसके बाद परमात्मा, पहले आत्मा उसके बाद परमात्मा. That means Atma is body actually. First body and then God. So in the village tongue there, Atma means body. So in Sanskrit, the word can have different meanings depending on the context. So he said, पहले आत्मा फिर परमात्मा. First body and then God. All right, we'll close here.